Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hivemind. Let's start off this video in arguably the perfect way. It's more of a reaction. I read the headline this morning that I'm about to present to you guys, and my reaction was, based? You know, something to that effect. It's hard to act it again. I'm not exactly George frickin' Clooney, so excuse me if it was a little bit cringe, but you pretty much get the idea. Holy what? I was not expecting to read this morning. That's, whoa. I never expected the court systems or any judge, especially not an Obama-appointed judge, to be so incredibly based. But it happened. Folks, I'm just gonna say it. Here's the context of this video. An Obama-appointed federal judge just issued a ruling in the state of Georgia that supposedly electronic voting machines should be deemed unsafe, unconstitutional, and should be banned in all state elections in favor for hand-marked paper ballots. Oh my lord, leftoids have been calling us conspiracy theorists, wackos, extremists, blah blah blah, every frickin' name in the book for even suggesting this, or suggesting anything even remotely close to this. And once again, it seems as though we were right, they were wrong, and we got the receipts to frickin' prove it. Alright folks, so before we get into the content, this video is brought to you guys by a long sponsor of this channel, our great friends at American Hartford Gold. This video is brought to you guys by our great friends at American Hartford Gold. Folks, we're living through the age of fiat currency, but pretty soon we're going to completely transition away from paper money into a full digital dollar world, the central bank digital currency. In other words, the Fed is going to have total administrative control on every dollar in the economy and everybody's bank account. As we inevitably march into that system, there's only one way to protect yourself, or at least hedge a little, and that's by owning precious metals, gold and silver. That's where American Hartford Gold comes in, the highest rated gold company in the US, with thousands upon thousands of 5-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. With one phone call, they could deliver physical gold and silver straight to your doorstep or directly into your IRA or 401k. And best of all, on top of how easy it is, American Hartford Gold is currently running a promotion where you could get up to $5,000 of free silver on qualifying orders. One phone call or text message away. All you gotta do is call 844-440-1005 or text Hivemind, one word, to 65532. That's Hivemind, one word, to 65532. A huge thank you to American Hartford Gold. Now back to the video. Alright folks, so this has to be one of the best headlines I've presented, arguably ever, definitely this year. Mike Lindell cheers judge's historic ruling as vindication. Let's take a look at what they had to say. There's going to be a little bit of reading here. MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell is celebrating last week's ruling on Georgia's voting machines as vindication, countering critics who say that he is a conspiracy theorist for promoting claims about election fraud. Historical ruling by judge. Lindell wrote on X, formerly Twitter, on Thursday, anyone questioning elections or election machines are not conspiracy theorists. Newsweek reached out to Lindell via email for comment. U.S. District Judge Amy Totenberg issued a 135-page ruling last Friday in the long-running lawsuit seeking to rid Georgia of its electronic voting machines in favor of hand-marked paper ballots. The lawsuit, filed by individual voters and election security advocacy group, the Coalition for Good Governance, argues that the machine's cybersecurity flaws violate the constitutional rights of voters to cast their votes and have those votes accurately counted. In a footnote of the ruling, Totenberg said that the evidence in the case does not suggest that the plaintiffs are conspiracy theorists of any variety. Indeed, some of the nation's leading cybersecurity experts and computer scientists have provided testimony and affidavits on behalf of plaintiffs' case in the long course of this litigation, she wrote. Asked about Lindell's response to her order, Totenberg declined Newsweek's request for comment. Georgia's electronic voting system, which was purchased from Dominion Voting Systems in 2019 and implemented statewide in 2020, has been the subject of various conspiracy theories, including some that claim that the machines helped President Joe Biden the presidential election from former President Donald Trump. Lindell is among one of those most vocal proponents of these claims. The MyPillow CEO is facing a number of defamation lawsuits from Dominion and Smartmatic for his comments claiming that their machines led to voter fraud. Dominion sued Lindell and his company in 2021 for $1.3 billion. Lindell has refused to settle even though the challenges have financially drained him and forced his attorneys to quit because of millions in unpaid legal fees. Lindell is currently raising money for the Lindell Offense Fund, fund to help pay his legal bills, who was appointed by former President Barack Obama, denied the state's request to rule without a trial just based on the arguments and the facts of the case. The judge found there to be material facts in dispute that must be decided at a bench trial, which she's set to begin in January 9th of 2024. The court cannot wave a magic wand in this case to address the varied challenges to our democracy and election systems in recent years, including those presented in this case, she wrote. But reasonable, timely discussion and compromise in this case, coupled with prompt, informed legislative action, might certainly make a difference that benefits the parties and the public. Now, maybe I jumped the gun a little bit because, of course, the case is still going on, but it does seem as though at least it's moving in the right direction. The voter integrity advocacy group has essentially been vindicated in their claim that they are, quote, not conspiracy theorists. These challenges, or people who are challenging voting machines, are not conspiracy theorists. That is a quote from the judge, and the case will move forward despite the state's efforts to have it thrown out and dismissed, because she stated that there is legitimate evidence based on testimony from cybersecurity experts that these machines can in fact be compromised and that they possibly infringe on voters' constitutional rights. This is the right decision, it's headed to trial, and it's likely to end in voting machines possibly being banned in the state. And you know, Democrats are gonna throw a freaking hissy fit, but you know what's funny? Let's just remain ideologically consistent here. Democrats, at least, roughly 10 years ago, were the ones advocating for voting machines being banned because supposedly they, quote, aren't safe or they're vulnerable.
I continue to think that our voting machines are too vulnerable.
Even hackers with limited prior knowledge, tools, and
these voting machines can be hacked quite easily.
You could easily hack into them. It makes it seem like all these states are doing different things, but in fact, 3 companies are controlling them.
There are a lot of states that are dealing with antiquated machines, right, which are vulnerable to being hacked.
Actually held a demonstration for my colleagues. Here we brought in folks who, before our eyes, hacked election machines.
Oh, it's funny how that shifted all of a sudden in 2019 when states across the board changed their voting systems, engaging this mail-in ballot scheme, followed up by pretty much every single swing state purchasing droves and droves of Dominion voting machines. I'm sure it's just a coincidence that they had such a change of heart in one of the most consequential elections of all time, where Honald Glorf had to be stopped at any and all cost. Give me a freaking break. We're not talking about voting for what movie we're gonna watch this weekend with the crew. We're talking about a Democrat election, the will of the American electorate, the biggest election, the most important and consequential election in the world. Who gets to be president? Who gets to represent one of the most populous countries, the richest country on earth, and the world's democratic leader? That's what we're talking about. And so the question is, why the hell would anybody ever consider voting machines, digital voting in general, or mass mail-in ballots? It makes absolutely no sense. There's too much on the line. The consequences are too grave. There is only one legitimate, logical path here. And folks, that path is very clearly hand-marked paper ballots. You show up to vote, you show your ID, you prove exactly who it is you are, you prove that you live there, that you're a resident, you're registered to vote, if that's required, and then you vote on a paper ballot that hopefully is watermarked, that has some sort of traceable chain of custody. You vote, you pop it in the box, nobody ever touched, nobody ever influenced you, the vote is then counted by hand, and then a tally is reached. That is the only way to conduct a proper election, even in the digital age. Until we get to a point where there's some sort of decentralized system and there is perfect digital tracing ability, and we know we can trace every one vote to every one person and it's provable, it's fully auditable, until we get to a point where that's the system, it has to be paper ballots. It has to be a system that is trustworthy, that is unimpeachable, and paper ballots is that only system. And it seems as though in Georgia, even a Democrat judge is coming to that conclusion. That's an absolutely beautiful thing to see. That's a thing to celebrate. And that's exactly what we're doing. That's pretty much the point of this video. That's also what I got for you guys. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.